Good morning and welcome to our weekly men's volleyball press conference. We will start the press conference with an opening statement from head coach Alan Knipe. Then we'll open it up to questions for coach from the media.
Yeah, obviously we just got back late last night from 2 good matches in Hawaii, and there was a lot of good. It was a tough week for us in the sense of we just dealing with a lot of guys dealing with some stuff as far as Mooney being really, really sick for the week, and felt a little bit better during the matches, but really struggled. And I thought maybe his best weekend for us, even though maybe the numbers won't bear that out, just for what he was dealing with. And how tough he was to just play through it. He was pretty miserable. So he's a great competitor. There's no way he wasn't going to play. So that was huge. And we had some other guys dealing with some stuff, some things that happened in practice when we were over there, actually. And then obviously just continuing to kind of evolve into this new group that we did without having Lazar and Satirius out there. It's just been kind of a like a carousel ride a little bit, and in the long run it's going to be very, very good for us as we develop this depth of people who can play and played in big matches. And that being said, to go out there and play, it was just such a great environment too. Both nights were packed and super loud, and I don't know if the crowds at any of the other matches later in the season, if you were to advance, the NCAA could match even what we got, that last weekend. So, as I always say, it's something the athletes, win or lose in those matches, you'll never forget playing in those environments. And kudos to Hawaii and their administration of what they do to support the sport of men's volleyball, because that's a pretty awesome environment. We have an amazing environment here, but that's a great environment to play in. So, it was really, really good for the guys. Get the win the first night in 4, and then unfortunately came up just to play short to finish off the sweep of the series and get it 15-13 in the 5th. But we got down in the beginning of the 5th set and didn't start that set great. But we found ourselves at 13 all and having a chance. And that's all you can really ask for, because we certainly weren't as clean as I wanted to be in the second match. But when you're coaching in a match, there's a feeling you get sometimes that yes, you want to be better execution-wise, because we missed 27 serves the second night. And we know that's too many, but, when you barely miss a couple of those and it's in the game, it doesn't really feel like that sometimes. But we know that's too many to give a good team that many points. But at the same time, we had our chances. But when you're looking at the guys and timeouts and you're talking to them in between sets and different times, you realize you're getting all they have physically at that point. And we talk all the time about giving us 100% of what you have. You don't have to be 100%, though, just whatever you have. And that's what they were doing. So, when you look at the way both teams played and what they were dealing with, both teams were dealing with, unfortunately, probably a split is about right, even though that's probably not what either team would want. So we come back and we find ourselves after all of that in the same situation as we were last week, both teams. And but that's a good thing. So we go into the last week of the season and we have a real good San Diego team, and we get them down there on Friday, and we get to come home for Saturday night, senior night, for the last conference match, and sit and hold our own destiny. So I'm super excited. I'm very, very proud of the guys. I know they're tired. Late night. We arrived last night really late in LAX. So we'll recover and we'll get after it. But this is a really exciting part of the season. Also, even though there's a lot of travel and all the craziness that goes in with it, it's getting to that point of all the fruits of your labor. So I think that you get a little bit, regardless of how you feel as a coach or as a player at this time of the year, you get a little bit of an injection of energy just from just where you are on the calendar.
Coach, first, is there any update that you can give on Chiapanis and Buchkov, if and when they'll be back this year?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that because it's just a violation of HIPAA for them, and I don't want to get into that. But I will say that we're in a day-to-day situation of this. They're both getting better all the time, but there's no way we're going to risk anything for their long-term health. We would never do that. Like when I talked about Mooney playing through an illness, there wasn't a concern of long-term health. So we won't do that. We hope we can get them back. That would be a huge shot in the arm for us, regardless what role they would play. But we have to be ready to get them back and how we would assimilate them back into our team. And we also have to be ready to roll through the rest of the season, maybe without having them.
And then obviously no loss is ever ideal, but with these 2 series splits, do you think that having a couple losses under your belt, dealing with that adversity, will help you guys moving forward?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword when you say that. I mean, I agree. Like, if you handle it right, there's no doubt that a loss sparks a little bit more attention to detail from the players, the coaches. It definitely taps into the urgency and the competitor inside everybody. But we've said for a long time here that, we feel like we can take the lessons from wins just like we can losses if we handle it right, which we've done a lot this season. But let's be honest. I mean, like, never once has anyone ever heard me talk about, as I've been the head coach here, talk about our goal being undefeated. Our goal is to be the best team we're capable of being by the end of the season. And if a couple of losses along the way, or even some years more than a couple of losses, is where we are at that moment, then that's where we are at that moment, and we need to improve. As long as we never lose the identity of a team that next week will be better than we were this week, then I'm fine. It is what it is. We can't control it sometimes. If it's within our control, we just flat out don't execute. We weren't prepared. We didn't plan well. We made a lot of mistakes as a staff. Then that you might see me in a different mood about how I feel about a loss. But that wasn't the case this weekend for sure. Okay.
Coach, you mentioned that this was one of Mooney Nikolav's best weekends, despite the sickness.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about the tenacity and maybe the toughness that he showed in spite of those sicknesses?
Yeah, I just think it's to go out and feel, first of all, to feel as bad as he did leaving here to get to fly, and then to have to fly with the type of how he was feeling, certainly at altitude for 5 hours didn't make him feel better when he got there. So the ability to have the attitude of, it really doesn't matter, I'm going to play regardless. That's the benchmark of where he was starting from. Sends a lot of confidence to his teammates and gives, you want to play hard for your leader, for your captain. Well, he's not a captain, sorry, for your setter, knowing that he's struggling, health-wise. So I thought the guys really, you have a lot of respect for that. So he set that standard right away at the beginning of the week. Hey, regardless how it is, I'm going to end up playing through this thing, and he did. But you also know, you can hear it, you can see it, you can see him, that he's struggling. He's really, really struggling physically, and he's doing it all on his toughness and all on his grit. And that for that, I have a great amount of respect, and I think the guys on the team have a lot of respect for him already. But that's where you create a nice legacy for yourself with your guys when it's all said and done. At the end of a trip like that, the guys look back and realize what you put into it individually, like you did, and how much you committed to the team's success of not just bowing out. So that's what I mean by it. I mean, I think Mooney and us, and a lot of the things about our weekend, we'll look back and there's a lot of things that we could have been better at, him included, and executing and certainly serving as a team, and just transition at times, and kind of keeping the foot down, on the pedal. There's lots of things that we can learn from it, but it certainly wasn't from the effort we put in, and that's when you get that out of your best players. That goes a long way, because sometimes you get that out of guys that maybe aren't your best players. They're just tough, and that's how they scrap every day to get on the court for you. But it goes a long way, and I think there'll be a lot of positive that comes out of it this week for us, as hopefully we feel a lot better as we get into the gym today and get some recovery done, and then have our first real practice again tomorrow.
And then what about Alex Condiff? Can you talk about his play with the injuries to the starters?
What's weird about Alex is that he himself couldn't stay healthy most of the beginning of the season, and he was on a nice couple of weeks stretch there in our gym of being able to go every day in practice, and it was playing better and better, and then that happens for him and Sebasani kind of a situation opened up. So we're very, very lucky to have Seba and Alex combined. If you look at their numbers, what they've put together for the 5 or 6 matches Seba played, and now the 5 or 6 matches that Alex have played, their numbers are incredible. And there's lots of teams in the countries that would love to have the numbers that we're getting from those 2 guys. So it's a product of their lack of, selfishness, where when it wasn't, maybe they weren't a starter or they weren't playing a lot, but that they were grinding like they were. And that's a tribute to both of them. So when their opportunity came up, they've both jumped in and acted like a veteran starter. And we're super proud of them. We needed every one of their swings.
Sorry, just got one more. So obviously Hawaii, they're in a different time zone. Do you think that the time zone had any effect on the players at all in the outcomes of the matchups, especially in Game 2 when the players are playing till like 1:30 in the morning? When their bodies are on that type of clock.
I don't know. I'm there's probably something to that you're not used playing that late, but I don't know. That's not something we've ever really spoken about. It just it is what it is. Like Hawaii is in Hawaii, and they're in our conference, and it is what it is. So no, I don't think so. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think that as far as sleep, maybe the ability to fall asleep like you do or when you wake up, it definitely does affect you on a short trip like that. But no, I don't think so. I didn't hear anybody talking about that.
Okay, thank you.
And Coach, lastly, can you just speak a word on the seniors, since senior night is upcoming for this year?
Yeah. It's amazing to hear this quickly, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's we have some special seniors, obviously, with Soterius and Dieris leading the way with guys that have been on the court a lot for us. And it was pretty special, to be honest with you, to be in Hawaii with Dieris, to watch, just the crowd response to, even though he's not in green, he the hometown kid. So it was fun for him to get to experience that in his senior year. But Darius has been a great player for us. He's been such a huge part from the point that he kind of broke into the starting lineup last year, all the way through this year. He's been a rock in the middle for us. And then obviously Sotos has just been an anchor for us since he got here. And if you think about it, with Alex Nikolav leaving after 1 year, there was a big void there. And I think Soterius had to shoulder a massive burden, and that not only with the quality of play we needed, but with all the expectations of who's going to be, will he be able to, all the different things. And then he jumped right in there, and losing Alex, who at that time was the freshman and national player of the year, is a lot, but yet that following year we played in the Final Four again. And Soterius was a massive part of that, as were all these seniors. And with Sebastian Rodriguez, who has been through multiple surgeries and different things as a career here, just has never had the ability to really showcase his full talents, has been pretty healthy this year. And we've been using him in that shared libero role. And more than anything, I'm just glad to see that he's had an opportunity to get out there and compete and wear the uniform and contribute to some of our success, because he's clearly one of the best all-around volleyball players we have in our program by far. But he's just one of the best human beings that you could ever imagine, and he just handles everything so well, and he wants nothing but success for his teammates and his team at all times. It's never about him. So you're always pulling for that kid, right? And with Nato Dickinson, Nato's played pretty much every position for us at some point, sometimes just in practice and sometimes in games. And he's a really talented all-around volleyball player, and he's had a great career also on the beach so far. He's doing some USA stuff with the beach. He's going to end up playing overseas, as will some of our other guys that I mentioned. But because of everything he's committed to the program and how much growth on and off the court that Nato has went through, I really have a tremendous amount of respect for, how much work he's put in. And I've been really happy to watch him get some good roles this year. He's been out there for big matches for us. He got us a couple of good matches to start off the season in conference against Northridge. And, he's worked really hard for those minutes, and there's probably some more minutes to come for him, which is good because he's a very, very good volleyball player. And then Noah Robin, unfortunately, is the other one who's just kind of had a really long string of bad luck as far as injuries ever since his freshman year. He's just some of the most bizarre things, and he hasn't been able to get out in the court very much. But he is healthy right now, and he's helping us every day in practice. And if we need him, he can get out there. I'm just glad that he's got himself back to a situation where he's practicing every day and he's ready to go, and he gets to really experience everything we're going through in a healthy form, and also being in uniform and ready to help his team through the end of his senior year instead of on the sidelines like some years have ended for him right now. So, special group that's been to, this group right now that we have that are seniors, the only thing they know is playing in the Final Four. This group has never, and there's no one on this group that has not been to the Final Four in every season that they've played here. And I'm very, very proud of that for them, and they're a huge part of it. As you guys know, as I talk about all the time, is that it's not just about the 6 or 7 guys that are on the court. It's about what happens every day to prepare us for the weekend. And whether you're starting, whether you're a serving sub, whether you come in a little bit or whether you don't play at all, you're a huge, valuable piece to what we do. And this is a very important class for us.
It seemed that there's different matches this year where Mooney has been more aggressive on the attack than others. Is that something that, as a coaching staff, you guys have tried to get him to use his unique skill set and actually go for kills on the second touch and wherever he can find them?
Not really, to be honest with you. I think Mooney's wired to be aggressive all the time. I think there's times that he'll be more aggressive when he feels like he needs to. I think there's times that sometimes it's just opportunity, And then the other piece is there's times as a setter though that you're really just working on your craft and your offensive sets. So you get so stuck in that in a good way that every good pass that you get that you could be offensive on, that you're taking that away from working on setting our quicks or setting our back row or setting, the pins, whatever it might be. And there's times that I think he knows that he doesn't necessarily have to be as aggressive. So he's really, really working on his connections, especially when there's been a lot of matches this year. I've moved the pieces a lot. So I think he's very aware of when he has guys on the court that he's trying to work on their in-game connections with. And, he'll back off being as aggressive, but I think everybody knows that as the year goes on and the matches are bigger, that he's gonna stay pretty aggressive. That's part of his game plan, and that's part of who he is as an athlete.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.